oh my God, I cannot do this for the rest of my life.
Hey, thank you so much for joining me on this series of Unicorns Out of a Straitjacket. This is following the TEDx Talk, How Unicorns Wind Up in a Straitjacket, which is to say super talented, multifaceted, dynamic people who are perhaps working in the wrong career for them, and therefore they feel a bit restricted and constrained, as you would do if you were wearing a straitjacket. Today, I have with me a really exciting person who I cannot wait to introduce you to. She's a fellow countryman. I'm super excited to be working with her, and she's going to share her story with you, her career change story. So stay tuned. Please help me welcome Chelsea Asante to the show. Hi, Chelsea.
Hi.
Hi, she said. How are you doing today?
Doing great, doing great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Tell us where you're joining us from.
I am in Dallas, Texas.
Wow, fantastic. See, I told you we're international. Do you want to share with us, Chelsea, a little bit about yourself?
I am from Ghana in West Africa. I have been in the United States since 2008. I have gone through some career changes, and I have finally found my career home now.
Ah, I love the career home. That's the first I've heard that, but I love it. That's in there. So what do you do? What is your career home?
I am currently a nurse practitioner.
Okay.
I am a nurse practitioner in a family practice from age 5 and up.
Wonderful, wonderful. And tell us a little bit about your career journey. Where did you start and how did you end up here?
So for those that are not familiar, when you live in Ghana, your education is kind of chosen in one path. So if you go to high school as a business student, you're just kind of like, you take business courses, accounting, business management, economics, elective math, and then you just kind of go into college or university and do a business course. Right. That's usually the career path. And so when I moved to the United States, I was a business student back home. And so when I moved to the United States, I just went ahead and went into the business for college. So I was initially an accounting student. And I remember very well sitting in my accounting class and thinking, oh my God, I cannot do this for the rest of my life. I cannot sit behind a computer and just stare at numbers for the rest of my life, so I left that class and went straight to my academic advisor and said, help me. I need something that I can connect with people, I can talk to people. And he suggested going into human resources.
Right.
And so I went into human resources. I always looked at human resources as helping the people in the company. I did some internships in human resources. I had some fantastic mentors in human resources that really made me fall in love with the field. Right. And then when I graduated, I got a job in human resources. I got a job in recruiting. And for the most part, it was helping people achieve some goals. But there was still a lot of behind the computer involved in it. Right. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go into actual human resources. I worked a little bit as a generalist and as a human resources assistant, and I still could not find it in me to get that much happiness from it. And mind you, I was about 22 years old when I started this journey, and I was working about 60 hours a week. And so I was just like, okay, this is not looking good from the beginning. You want to be excited about your big girl job. Absolutely. But it was not as exciting. So I remember it was a Tuesday and I had gone to visit my mom in New York, and I was laying on my mom's bed and I'm like, I am so unhappy with my life right now. And I was talking to my mom about it, and she said, I don't even know why you went into business. You are so caring. You are so passionate about other people. I don't know why you did not go do nursing. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do nursing. All the people that come to America, everybody does nursing. I don't want to be like, follow the whole line and just go do nursing because everybody does nursing. And she said, nursing, everybody does nursing, but nursing is really for you.
Right.
And mind you, like, I am not a science person.
Right.
When I did my business degree, I did geography for my science requirements. Like, I was not trying to do any science at all. So for somebody that has such a business inclination to have to turn around and go into the sciences, it was a huge change for me, huge change. So I started off, I stopped working and everything and just committed myself to school because I knew that I really could not do anything else, seeing as I was not a science person at all, completely. So I took the prerequisites for the program, and I did like a whole Excel spreadsheet of schools and what they require, and I just did a step-by-step and took the program, and did the prerequisites, and then I applied for nursing school, and I applied for a bunch of schools because I was very afraid that I was not going to get into a nursing school. Nursing schools are very competitive to get into, and I was just afraid I could not get into one. And then the other thing was I wanted to change my life drastically. So I lived in New York, but I wanted to change my life. So I applied for schools in the southern states of the United States, so in Louisiana and Texas and states like that. And so then I got into Louisiana College in Louisiana, Texas. I'm sorry, Louisiana, Alexandria, Louisiana. And so I started my nursing school it's actually in Pineville, Louisiana. And I lived in Alexandria, but it was literally like a 15-minute drive. It was a very, very small city, town even, but I loved my school. The teachers were great. For somebody coming from a completely different career, they helped me fall in love with nursing.
Wow.
You know. And when I decided to go to nursing school, I decided to go to nursing school to be a nurse practitioner. Right. Because I felt like if I was going to do it, then I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it and really bring a lot of change into people's lives. So I went into nursing school. I was done in 2 years, and then I worked a little bit and then went back to school for my master's to be a nurse practitioner. And so I finished up with that. There were a lot of craziness along the way. I lost everything I owned in an apartment fire. Yes. Yes. In 2020, while COVID was going on, I lost everything in an apartment fire except the clothes I was wearing when the fire started through lightning. So
talk about 1 in a million.
Yes. So I ended up moving into a new apartment. And after that, because it was soon after I had graduated school, I had not even taken my boards to be licensed yet. And so I ended up moving into a new apartment, studying for boards, and then passing my boards. And actually, before I took my boards, I got a position with a clinic that I did one of my clinical rotations in. Yeah. And so I got a position as a nurse practitioner, an offer as a nurse practitioner there. So I took my boards, and when I passed, I started working there as a nurse practitioner. And that's where I am now. And when I say I found my career home, I mean that I found a place that I can really feel like I'm making change. You know, like it's amazing. It's amazing when people come to you with a problem and you're able to solve it. And it's amazing how much of a part of people's lives that you are daily. You know, my patient who lost a parent that I'm giving a hug, or my patient that is just feeling really, really depressed that I can be there for. It's amazing. It's amazing being able to connect with my new mom parents that are just thinking, this is ridiculous, I can't do this, and saying, hey, I've been there, you know, or being able to connect with other immigrants that come in and say, this country is really hard, and I can say, I've been there. Or being able to connect with a student that comes in and says, school is really, 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 really kicking me in the rear end. And I'm like, yes, I know. I've been there. It's amazing. And I always make a joke and say, in nursing, you can hug somebody and they don't sue you for it. You can't do that in human resources. So that was my drastic career change. But I finally found my career home. And as a Black woman in this country, there is a very huge health disparity in the different races. And I just feel like I have the power to change my little corner of the world. I have the power to change the way Black people that I come across receive healthcare. And it's a great honor to be able to do that.
Wow.
So
well,
that's my story.
You packed so much in there. And it's so meaningful, the fact that you found this that is super fulfilling for you.
Yes, yes.
You've been able to turn adversity around, and the way you look upon your career is so refreshing. And I've done so many interviews. I just want to honor you for that. That is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Wow. And like going through the emotion and the psychology of it all, of changing, of course, because from business to nursing, that's like a 360. And
yes,
people look upon it like you've wasted time, you've got to read and all the resources you spent, and it's the sunk costs that people keep them stuck.
But I really don't feel like I've wasted time, because every day in my life right now as a nurse practitioner, my business degree comes into constant play. You know, I'm a nurse and I love the service, I love the vocation of it, but it's also a business, you know, and at the end of the day, I have to be able to bring income into the clinic that I work in. And being able to do that, having that know-how, having the idea about how to advertise, because my first degree was in human resources and marketing. So I'm knowing how to advertise, knowing how to reach people, you know, even when I'm trying to teach a patient, it's a form of sales. I'm trying to sell the patient on the best way to achieve the goal that I want them to achieve. And that business degree comes into constant play for me. I have never felt like it's been a waste of money. I wish it was $0, but you know, I have never really felt like it was a waste of money, because I feel like it makes me a better nurse practitioner, because it helps me be able to reach my patients at the point where they need me to reach them.
Exactly. It's transferable skills that you build on to the next career all the time.
Yes.
I'm so glad you said that. We've got that off my chest. Okay, so coming to the TEDx talk, we identified 3 steps into going into the right career for you. And I want us to talk about that in terms of your journey and what these 3 steps were for you. So to remind viewers, the first step was identifying clues, especially in your childhood, in your life, things that you're complimented on, and what I call a natural path to wealth, or your zone of genius. What would you say some of these clues are for you?
Well, for me, my mother moved to the United States when I was 5. I lived in Ghana with my dad and my siblings. I have a sister and I have 2 brothers. And so from age about 9, I was in charge of the household. I was in charge of taking care of my siblings. I was in charge of making sure that everybody was fed and ready for school. So that provided me that nurturing spirit right from the beginning. And then my younger sister had always been with me. She was like my first child, and I always had to take care of her. And so right from the get-go, I had been that person. I remember when I was in high school and boarding school, in my dorm, I was that person. I was during Saturdays, I was the one that folded everybody's stuff. And I was the one that got every, so I have been that person. And I always felt like that was, something that I would do for free. And somebody once told me that if you will do something for free, you definitely want to do that for work,
Right,
because
right.
what is better than doing something that you would do for free and getting paid for it. And I feel like that is definitely one of the biggest things that has helped me in my career, is just that those little things that I've picked up in my nurturing role as I've been growing up.
Wow. I agree. I love that. I wanted you to say that again when you said if you do something for free, you better make a career out of it.
Yes.
I love that, for sure. And then the step 2 was connecting the dots. So connecting the dots between your natural genius and maybe your lifestyle, your hobbies. What were some of the connections you made?
Well, for me, it was mainly realizing that my natural inclination to nurture, to take care of people, I thought doing it in human resources would be ideal. But I found that in human resources, a lot of the times you are not for the employees, you are for the company. In nursing, in nursing, you are absolutely the advocate of the patient. Everything that you are taught to do is for the interest of the patient. And that's where I wanted to be. And when I was in human resources, I remember so well going over to where the employees were walking from my office and somebody making a comment, "Ooh, HR is coming," and everybody just trying to like do what they needed to do properly. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't want to be this person. I don't want to be this person that when they're coming, people feel like they need to change what they're doing.
Right.
Whereas when in nursing, I see people at their most vulnerable. I see people at their worst. I see people at their best. I see people when they're bringing life into the world. I see people when they're leaving the world with life. So in nursing, I get to touch lives very, very much. And that appealed to me. That appealed to me because my life has always been like that. And so it's like I call it my career home. It's a place that I feel at home.
My God, I'm just thinking this is like the perfect model nurse nurse video that they should show to people going into nursing. This is what it should feel like. Otherwise, it's not right for you.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm very impressed by you.
Thank you.
And finally, in the third step of how to choose the right career for you, we've identified the zone of genius. We've identified some of the connections you've made. How would you say, I think you've already mentioned it, but how would you say you've summarize it for us? You've applied it into your career now.
So obviously being the caring person that I am, I think it's important to also realize that it's not only adequate to be a caring person. You have to sharpen those skills. You have to make them more finer, and that is what the nursing education would give you. You can be a caring person all day, every day, but if you have no idea how to give an injection, you are useless to the patient, So it's important to also find up those skills, So as a person, most people said, well, if you wanted to be a nurse so bad, why are you bothering in further education? I have a master's right now, and I have every intention of going back to school to get my doctorate, not because of anything, but I realize that my patients deserve the best version of me. And I believe education can give me that, So day in, day out, as I treat patients, I read up on the most up-to-date things. I try to educate myself. I try to make sure that I am the best version of a nurse that I can possibly be for these patients that I'm working so hard for. So it's better to be the best version of yourself, even if it's something that you love. We all have that pair of shoes that we love so much. And it has holes under them, and we still love so much. But I bet you if you find a newer version of the same pair of shoes, you would just get it to replace that, So it's just the same way I do things. I feel like it's important for me as a nurse to make sure that as a caring person, I also sharpen up myself to be the best version of a nurse that I can be.
You're full of wisdom. I was going to ask my next question is, what's the one piece of advice you could give to somebody in this position? But I loved what you said earlier. I wasn't sure if I should ask that again, because it's like the mic drop moment.
Well, I think I'll also add on to it that as a nurse, there are going to be days, right? And like every job, it's not like a bed of roses. There are going to be days that you are going to say, oh my God, why did I do this? I should have done this. But I think it's important to remember why you're doing what you're doing. The first moment that you fell in love with a career, those moments where you help somebody bring a child into the world, those moments where you hold somebody's hands as they leave this world. You have to remember those days. And you also have to be willing to get your hands dirty, because you don't learn unless you get your hands dirty. And sometimes it will involve you working for free. Sometimes it will involve you doing some things that you would never imagine you would do, walking through some homes that you would never imagine yourself in, talking to some patients, or tolerating some things from patients that you were just like, if I met you outside, you would not do this in front of me, but in that sanctuary of a consultation room, in that sanctuary of a clinic room, you have to be willing to take certain things.
Right.
And when you put yourself in that situation, you are able to only advance yourself.
Sure. Honestly, Chelsea, I want to say thank you so much for being such a beacon of wisdom and a shining example and a flag bearer for your career. It's so beautiful and so fulfilling for me to even witness it, and of course, being in this profession for a long time, I can almost sense it and feel it when someone's in the right career for them, and the whole aura exudes fulfillment, and that's what I see, and it's beautiful.
So don't be a unicorn in a straitjacket.